Hi there everyone, what's happening? I hope all is well. Today I have an amazing chess game to show you. A very simple attacking chess game. I hope you will enjoy this. So let me introduce these two English chess masters. We have Christopher Ward with the white pieces, the chess champion of England from 1996. A very strong chess player, most definitely. Heck of a player. And his opponent was Richard Britton, who is a FIDE master of chess, and he was close to 2300 at this time of this game. This game was played in 1994 in London, England, in the Lloyds Bank Masters Open tournament. But his opponent Ward was close to 2500. Almost 200 points higher rated than his opponent, and he put that rating difference on the board in a very brutal way. Let me tell you that. So let's see what happened in this game. Christopher Ward starts the game with d4, knight to f6, c4, g6. So we have king's Indian developing the pieces, and this is the Saemisch variation of the king's Indian defense. So after f3, castling, bishop to e3, c5, charging to the center, developing the knight, queen to d2, a very standard idea, planning to play bishop to h6, challenging the dark square bishop, a6, and then bishop to h6 as we expected, and we see rook over, and h4. So white is not planning to castle, maybe developing the knight, activating the knight, moving the bishop, and then castling. Kingside is not his idea, and he's showing that with pushing his pawn. So we have e6 and then h5 going all the way. So pushing the pawn, and he wants to open the file for his rook. And we see b5. So let's take it back. If knight takes, actually you don't have to capture the knight and unleash a monster attack with sacrificing the rook, opening the file, charging your opponent, like attack with your shield and your sword and your helmet. You don't have to be that crazy. I mean, the more logical and more reasonable way to continue if knight takes pawn is perhaps g4. And this opens the h-file, as you can see, with sacrificing a pawn. Of course, I'm not even saying what happens if g takes on h5. It looks terrible. It is going to open the king. But if knight takes again, g4, exchanging the bishops, the queen can get in. White can castle from the queen side. And this is white's plan, white's idea. So this is why black didn't want to accept the pawn sacrifice. So we have b5 and then g4, some sort of pawn storm in the king side. Basically, black is attacking on the queen side, and white is attacking from the king side without castling, without even considering to castle, which is not the most fashionable, desirable way of playing according to the general principles of chess. Usually you have to castle before move 10. And then develop your pieces and then push your pawns, because as we know, pawns can't go back. So this is a little bit risky, but masters or chess grandmasters knows when to play like this. So we have b takes on c4 and then castling from the queen side. Okay, black is targeting the king, but right now the queen is defending on b2. So finally bishop takes, king takes, and the mission is accomplished. H takes on g6, and the queen can say hello to the king, and it looks dangerous. And also then pushing the pawn, kicking the defender somewhere else, and it looks like the black king is not going to see the light of the day. So we have f takes on g6, and then knight is getting in. Multi-purpose move. Now both activating the knight, getting closer to the king, targeting on e6, adding one more attacker against the king, liberating the bishop. So the bishop was very silent. Now the bishop is being liberated. Bishop takes pawn is possible. And also opening the queen, liberating the queen, queen over to h2 and then targeting the king is also possible. And the first threat is, the main threat right now is knight takes on e6, and that looks dangerous. And how to defend that? We can also say that black has a cramped position because, you can't move this knight and defend the pawn with the bishop. The bishop is also not looking very good. So how to defend? Seriously. So threatening knight takes, forking king and the rook. So defending with the rook. So this is a cramped position for black, and we see g5. And c takes on d4 in this position, attacking the knight, and then knight to a4, attacking the queen, queen to b4, attacking the knight and offering to exchange the queens. Maybe pawn takes knight, check comes to mind. But Christopher Ward played queen takes on d4. Queen takes knight. Well, in this position, I asked myself what happens if e5, and actually I was right, interestingly. The chess engine told me that actually e5 was the correct move. That would be the most solid move for black. So if e5, forking queen and the knight, and then g takes, check, knight takes, queen takes, and we have a more boring game actually. a3, queen takes. So if queen takes knight, queen takes rook, rook takes, and we have this position. Nothing is so interesting about this position. Actually, it's a boring game. But black should have tried to play e5 in this position against a much higher rated player. But he played queen takes on a4. But then capturing the knight with check, and black has to capture back with the knight. We have knight takes on f6. Because let's check out the other variations. If king goes back, what happens then? Then knight takes on g6, the h-pawn is pinned and the king is getting hunted. Checkmate. And if king to g8, then we have f7 again, and then rook takes, and this is brutal, getting checkmated. And if king to f8, then rook takes on h7, and there is no reasonable defense against knight takes on g6, king to g8, and then rook to g7, checkmate. There is no reasonable defense. Okay, so let's see what happened in the real game. Thankfully, actually, black played queen takes on a4, not pushing the pawn. The game would be a little bit more boring, but we have a very beautiful attacking game because we have g takes on f6, knight takes on f6, and the diagonal is open. So white has some attacking chances, opportunities. And in this position, white has a very strong move. Can you guess the next move of the British chess champion Christopher Ward? He became the chess champion of England in 1996. So white has a very strong move in this position. Did you see it? Let me give you 3 seconds. Ward once wore. He played rook takes on h7, the knight is pinned. What else? King takes and then queen takes on f6, rook to b7, defending the mate idea. Because now let's play a silly move actually. We have check, and if king goes up, checkmate. And if king goes back, then knight takes, checkmate. So this is why we have rook to b7, and then what would you do again? It's a very important move for white. And the good news is that strangely the white king is defended perfectly. There is no checks, there is no nothing. But the king, black king, is horribly exposed. Even though white sacrificed the exchange. Okay, of course, moving the bishop away and liberating the rook, and how to defend. There is no good defense. Rook to h1 is going to be a deadly threat because after rook to h1, king to g8, rook to h8, checkmate. So rook to g7 for hiding the king, but we have check, only move, and then knight takes on g6, and how to defend, rook to h8, mate. So rook to h7, there is no good defense, and king hunting time. Rook takes on h7, king takes, check, king to h6, knight to h4, how to defend the mate, we have king to g5, sacrificing the knight for hunting the king, but after this move, Richard Britton resigned. What an amazing, fierce attacking chess game. So let me show you the possible continuation. If king takes knight, checkmate, the kiss of death. And if king to f4, then we have knight to g2, checkmate. And if king to h5, then we have check with the bishop, and then checkmate. Very beautiful attacking game from 1994, London, England, by the British chess champion Christopher Ward. So I hope you enjoyed watching this, and what an amazing interactive game. So I hope to see you next time. Stay safe, take care, and bye bye.